welcome back to my channel, welcome back to UpOnIt. I'm Charlene. Firstly, thank you so much for all the love you showed to my special guest last week. I'm going to convince her to come back on. I think she did a great job. So today's video is the beginning of the university series, which I'm very excited about. And this video in particular is going to be kind of the do's and don'ts for your degree. How to basically slay your degree. It's going to be leaning a lot towards law because that's what I studied, but hopefully the tips that I give will be able to be translated into any degree that it is that you're doing. The reason that university and this university series is so close to my heart is because, like everybody else, I went to university with every intention of leaving there with a first-class degree. I kind of wanted it, that was my intention, but I've learned now that wishes and intentions don't always translate into the outcome if you don't put in practical steps that are going to help you get there. And so now looking back in hindsight, I realized that there were things that maybe I didn't know or didn't learn quickly, content that I didn't grasp, or just kind of time management, organization, things that would have helped me maybe attain my goal, that now looking back I know, okay, maybe you didn't do this. And so for a long time after I finished my degree, I really struggled. I felt like I'd failed for a really long time because I didn't get what I wanted. And then I went back actually and did a master's in law. I don't know if that was like to prove to myself that I could do it, I don't know, but I actually ended up loving my master's, and I'm going to do a separate video about doing a master's degree or doing a postgraduate degree at a later date. So those of you guys in first year, you have now finished your, or about to finish your first term, and those of you in second year will know that second year is a huge jump up. Second year to me felt like a punch in the throat, like when I got there. So hopefully the tips that I give today will be able to help you guys to maybe navigate going into your second term a little bit better. Maybe now we're kind of, we're partied out, so now it's time to kind of focus and get down to the reason why you came in the first place. So guys, these are some of my law books. I've got criminal law here, constitutional and administrative law, got my criminal law statutes, EU law, frameworks of English law. My equity and trust book is so huge I can't actually pick it up, but yeah, I still have all of my law books because I spent so much money on them to buy them, so I'm not throwing them away. So the first tip I would say is to be very clear about what your end goal is when you are studying your degree. Aside from the degree classification, even think beyond that. Think about, for law, do I want to be a barrister? Do I want to be a solicitor? Or am I just really interested in advocacy? And I think for me, I knew that I wasn't interested in becoming a solicitor, and I knew that I wasn't that interested in becoming a barrister. But my friends who knew that they wanted to be solicitors, they knew they wanted to be barristers, they are now barristers and solicitors. So I think once you know that in your mind, you have a clear focus of what it is that you want and where it is that you're going. And once you have that, it helps you focus in your studies, and also helps you focus with the things that you'll need to be able to actually do it. So for example, if you know that you want to be a solicitor, you'll know that you need to be looking at applying to training contracts as soon as possible. You'll know that you need to think about how you're going to fund your LPC. If you want to be a barrister, you'll know that you need to start looking at applying to mini pupillages. All of these things are going to help you reach what it is that you want to reach. So be very clear about your end goal and what it is that you want to achieve, and that will definitely help you with your focus your studies. The next tip is to work like you're working a 9 to 5. So people did this in the beginning and I was like, wow, these people are very dedicated, and I did that later on in my degree, but I think it absolutely helps. So you go into your lectures, going to university every day, even if you're off campus, if you're a second year and you're off campus, go in like you normally would if you were still having a 9 AM lecture, and just have your lectures and then stay in the library till 5, 6 if you can. Work it as if you're doing a job, 9 to 5 every day. If you're going to be a solicitor or barrister, that's going to be the minimum of your work hours, so it's good to practice anyway. The next thing is preparation. So firstly, go to every single lecture, go to every single seminar and prepare for your seminars. The teachers or the tutors or the lecturers who are teaching you are the ones who are going to put together the exams. They know what they've covered in lectures, they know what they've covered in seminars. And I think one of the biggest mistakes that students make is not preparing well enough for their seminars. I promise you that if you prepare well enough for your seminars, you have done 70% of your revision, because once you prepare for the seminar, the notes are there. All you have to do is revise them. All you have to do is go over what you've written, remember the notes, remember the cases, remember the kind of any statutes or anything. it's already written. So prepare really well for your seminars, and this goes for any degree, particularly in law. Make sure that you're not just doing it the night before in a rush, in an hour and a half. Make sure that you're spending days going over it and really getting kind of into the meat of it, so that you have something to contribute as well in the seminar. The next point is to structure your writing well. This is everything. In the beginning, I'd get essays back and it'd be like, look at your structure, and I'm like, I'm structuring, what do you mean? And I actually went to someone in the School of Law who helped me actually learn how to structure, particularly if you're doing a joint honours degree. Sometimes, for example, I did law with international relations. International relations writing is so different from how to write in law. So if you need help, definitely go and ask for help for how to structure, but structuring is crucial. You can't just throw cases in there. Your arguments have to be coherent, they have to be cohesive, they have to flow, it has to be clear. So if you are struggling, get help, but definitely learn how to structure. Having a clear introduction, what is it that you're talking about, having your cases in properly, having articles that support. Absolutely learn how to structure. It's so crucial. And again, if you don't know how to, get help. The next tip is to always do your reading, which sounds so basic considering it is a law degree. However, you will be shocked at how complacent you can get, and how much you just read summaries and just kind of do a quick skim read. When you get your required reading and you get your extra reading, always do your required reading and always do your extra reading, because a lot of the exam questions are going to be in that extra reading. A lot of the obscure cases you might need to know, so always do your reading. Don't leave it to chance, and get familiar with Westlaw and online journals and online websites, and make sure that you are actually paying attention. And the difference I found with people who got there first because they understood the law. They weren't just kind of learning it to regurgitate it in an exam. They took time out to read what the judges had said in every law in every case that they were looking at. They took time to read what legal thinkers were saying. They took time to really understand the argument and really form their own opinions about what they saw going on. So make sure that you are doing your wider reading, you're doing your required reading. Look at online journals, look at articles, look at what the judges in the cases are saying, and try and pull arguments from that. That is going to be crucial, particularly in areas like criminal law. Criminal law is fun, it is exciting, it's what we see on TV. And so people kind of think that it's easy for some reason. Criminal law is not easy. Criminal law is all case law. It is case after case after case after case. You have to remember all of that. You have to remember the precedents that were set. You have to remember the statutes. You have to remember what case led to what case and what the judges did. You have to know it. You have to remember all these cases. So don't just assume that because criminal law is the one that everybody's maybe more familiar with, that makes it easier. It's not easy. It's a lot of information you have to remember. Another area you might want to pay special attention to is equity and trust. Equity and trust to this day, I don't even know if it is the law. I don't know if it is law, but it's going to come up in your exam, so you need to understand it. And it can be a bit tricky because sometimes something that a judge has said here doesn't apply here, and this precedent was set here but then doesn't apply here, and here's a loophole, here's another loophole, and it's like, what? How is this the law? But you have to know it, so make sure you pay special attention to the cases and equity and trust. It's going to come in really handy if you really focus in on that. And then also with EU law, do we even have EU law anymore? Who knows? But make sure you pay attention to it because it is very different from English law sometimes. And just the whole kind of the wording and the way they put statutes together and all of that stuff is completely different. So do pay special attention to EU law. When it comes to your exams, reading is fundamental. Reading in depth is what's going to save you, because that is how they're going to know that okay, this person knows what they're talking about. So you need to have your point of law in the content, and then you need to have your case, and you need to have what the judges are, what the summaries are, what you've taken, what's the final judgment. You have to follow a certain formula. You can't just write the theory. It has to be case law. You have to know the cases. So if, for example, if you're like me and you like to do things by I sometimes remember things by making little songs or by association, just so I can remember it. If you can't remember all of the case by case, if you want to alphabetize, you can do that. Whatever it takes for you to have cases readily available, make sure that you do that, because that is going to help you, and the more you read, the more you remember these cases, and that is what's going to save you in your exam. So that is what I noticed in people who got their first. They read in depth, they read articles, they read journals, they knew their cases, they understood the law. So make sure that you are doing all those things, and I'm sure you'll be absolutely fine. So guys, those are my tips for law, how to slay your law degree. If you have any questions, of course, email me at stayinguponit@gmail.com. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Stayinguponit for everything. I'm going to link it below. And if you have any questions, again, drop them in the comment box, and I will see you next week for the next episode. Bye guys.